Hi, everyone. Welcome back to this week's episode of the Guided Podcast. Catherine Ann, our resident intuitive astrologer, is here again to dive deep into the energies surrounding this upcoming new moon in Sagittarius, which is happening on November 30th. So, Catherine, welcome. And what are we in store for with this particular new moon?
All right. So as Lindsay said, November 30th, 10:21 p.m. Pacific time. So that means for many, it will be happening on December 1st, the next day. So this new moon in Sagittarius. Let's just talk a little bit about Sagittarius and the general Sagittarius energy, right? So, Sagittarius is a fire sign. There's a lot of optimism and hope in Sagittarius. It's ruled by Jupiter, so really likes that expansive, big beliefs. It wants to believe that it can encompass everything. It also can be a little hedonistic. It can be a little like we're just rebellious, like we're just gonna go for it, go big or go home, kind of got Sagittarius energy. So that is just the general energy of Sagittarius in general. So when we look at a new moon in Sagittarius, we're looking at setting intentions around hope and optimism and all those wonderful things that Sagittarius brings. It's about instead of seeing things for what they are, see them for what you wish they were. So planting that optimistic seed is the type of seed of intention that we're going to be doing in a Sagittarius new moon. So that's great. That's the general Sagittarius new moon. It's a really like a fun, lovely energy. And then we have the rest of the sky that wants to give their 2 cents to this whole vibe. So what we have here, when we have a new moon, the sun and moon are always exactly conjoined. They're exactly sitting on each other. This moon also happens to have some dynamic relationships with both Mars and Saturn. And it's also co-present with a retrograde Mercury. So we've got a lot of voices here. So we're first going to start out talking about the sun and moon trine Mars. So this is great. It's this passion, enthusiasm for life, such a great energy during Sagittarius time, because if I were going to describe it as Sagittarius, I would say they were passionate and enthusiastic about life. This healthy inner vitality, but also an outer vitality, like literally feeling like you have the energy to accomplish the things you want to accomplish. That's what this Sun trine Mars is doing. This capacity for action and boldness and just feeling physically and mentally and emotionally capable. Now, Moon trine Mars, it has a little bit different slant because the moon is emotional and Mars just doesn't have time for that business. So Mars trine moon brings out some outbursts, maybe some attitudes. You may have some family conflicts. So if we put that all together, though, we still have this passionate enthusiasm for life. So Mars is saying, let's go do it. Let's get it done. And then Saturn is square the sun and moon. So here we have the malefic Mars, which is going to be really supportive, but is an intense energy. And then the malefic Saturn, which is in square. So it's going to cause tension and challenge. So when Saturn and the sun are in a square aspect, it's a loss of vitality. It's a loss of self-confidence. It's habitual self-denial. When the moon and Saturn are squared, it's I'm going to overwork to replace that missing feeling of connection. So moon square Saturn brings feelings of isolation and loneliness and self-judgment. And oftentimes we will workaholic ourselves to not have to feel those feelings. So sun and moon square Saturn, not the greatest feeling. So what Spirit really wanted me to talk about with this was this idea of don't put off till tomorrow what you can do today. Because on one hand, we have this bold, enthusiastic, ready to take action Mars. On the other hand, we have Saturn that is completely raining on our parade, making us feel weighed down by our responsibilities, and overall, a sense of dejectedness. So it's best to harness Mars's energy and push through and get those things done. So the recommendation is don't put off until tomorrow what can be done today. This is the how Mars and Saturn are coming into play with this new moon. And those are big energies, so they're important. But what we're really going to focus on is Mercury and Jupiter. So when I first looked at this, I just kept feeling the energy of this moon feels frenetic. And then I thought, well, before I dive even deeper into all the aspects and what they mean, let me pull up the tarot card. So the tarot card for Sagittarius 1, the first decan, is the Eight of Wands. And so if I also post this on video on my YouTube. So I have this held up, the Eight of Wands card. So the Eight of Wands card is really interesting. There's no people involved. It's just a bunch of wands flying through the air. And really the way I've always interpreted it is communication coming in. So emails, text messages, downloads from spirit, deliveries, packages, the neighbor tells you something, information coming in. So I'm like, okay, well, this makes sense, right? This moon feels very frenetic to me. The energy of the Eight of Wands is kind of frenetic. It's all this input coming in. So I'm looking at this going, let's just add on top of it that we have this retrograde Mercury co-present with this moon. That means it's not sitting right on top of it, but they're sharing the same house. They're like roommates. They're not sharing the same room, but they're in the same home. So Mercury retrograde, we know it's infamous for computer challenges, emails don't go through, text messages don't go through. You swore you communicated something and it didn't land the way you thought you were going to communicate. It's communication mishaps in general, whether it's with communication devices or with people. This is what happens notoriously in a Mercury retrograde. This is what the general population understands a Mercury retrograde. But in addition, Mercury also, when it's retrograde, is about reflecting and reviewing. So it's actually a really good time to go back and review all those details and make sure that every little thing has been covered. But when we're talking about this energy of the Eight of Wands and all this communication coming in, and then we have Mercury retrograde, that feels in contradiction to me, right? It's all this energy coming in, all this communication coming in, and yet we're in a place where our communication god is on break and reflecting, turning inwards, focusing on details, but not really doing the hottest job at communication. So let's add some more to that frenetic energy. We've been traveling with Jupiter in Gemini since this past spring. Jupiter does not love being in Gemini. Why? Because Gemini is the mind. It's ruled by Mercury. It's all the thoughts. And Jupiter is expansion and dream big. So when Jupiter is in Gemini, we are bombarded with thoughts, with information, with ideas. We talked about this way back in June about the idea that, you go to a party and you get all these amazing ideas and it's just like, and I could do this and I could do that. And I'm going to network with this person and that person. And that is what Jupiter and Gemini does to us. But we are just one person and we cannot harness the energy to do all the millions of amazing ideas that are presented to us with Jupiter and Gemini. Jupiter and Gemini is opposing Mercury and Sagittarius in this moon. So, ironically, this is called a reception where Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius. Mercury is the ruler of Gemini. So they're actually ruling the opposites homes. But both of them are in detriment. They're in an opposition, which is not a happy relationship. So this mutual reception does not help us. It basically just says, yep, we have a lot of input coming in. And so our mind is going to be just busy, busy, busy. And both Jupiter and Mercury during this new moon are retrograde. So with retrograde is all the words, right? Reflect, rewind, revisit. It goes very internal. So what this feels like to me is spinning. Have you ever had a day where you've had so much input that you feel like you're spinning? You just don't even, which way do I even start? Which direction do I go? Who do I talk to next? You can't even I can't even write something down because I just have so much going on. I just don't even know which way to turn. That's what this energy of this moon feels like to me. Yay.
I know. Well, as you're saying this, actually, what I'm feeling is how important it's going to be during this time to ground, like really stay grounded, because the swirl, they show me like a twister, how you have this tornado and how it moves, right? And it like blows. And so I feel like we might have this twister, but we need to be really solid, and I want to say stationary. Like we need to ground, and we need to ground that energy so we're feeling stable amidst the tornado. Like they almost show me that opening scene from The Wizard of Oz where there's the twister and all the stuff is flying in the twister, but there's like our house. They show me a house that's still on the ground, almost in the eye of the storm, but it's just steady. It's not moving. And I feel like that's our home. That's what we need to be doing during the storm.
That is amazing because the theme they gave me is input overload, breathe, breathe, breathe. And that's exactly what they were saying, right? Input overload. You've got to breathe through it. You've got to hold on tight, breathe through it, ground yourself in, because what you want to know is that you don't have to be knocked around by the input overload. So I love, that was such a beautiful analogy. It's exactly, and I don't know if you noticed, I noticed it after I stopped talking. Even the way I was talking was that energy. Like I got pulled into that frenetic, fast Mercury in Sagittarius, Jupiter in Gemini, frenetic energy, and started talking faster and faster and faster and faster. That is the energy that we are going to be swirling with. But at the same time, remember, let me pull you back to this conversation about Mars and Saturn. Don't put off till tomorrow what you can get done today. So take deep breaths, ground yourself in, and one step at a time, what do I need to take care of? And let everything else swirl away.
It's interesting that you say this, because I think one of the messages that we've both been sharing with each other recently is that Spirit has been consistently asking us to make space for the new to come in. And one of the things that I notice as I'm trying to make space, physical space for time in my calendar, but also, right, emotional space, energetic space, the thing that I notice is that as I'm receiving what feels like input overload, my body is really reacting. I don't always know what my body is reacting to, but I really feel the input just in my body. And I needed the space to be able to take time away, to go breathe, to soothe my inner children, to just ground and get really present and take those breaths. And so I think this is a really interesting time of year because we're busy with the holidays. It's the hustle and bustle of the season. And then layer onto that, the cosmos adding another layer of chaos and frenetic energy. I feel like at a time when people don't really feel a luxury of time, we need to really be intentional about carving out this space so we can hold our alignment and ground and do what we need to do to keep ourselves centered.
Absolutely. And that was actually one of the things that I had put was this energy, the holidays, right? It's always busy. So, and I know anybody who is a parent that has kids in school and practice and all that will completely relate to this. But it's this runaway optimism gone awry, right? So you have the school performances, the recitals, the teacher gift, the holiday shopping, the scheduling, all the memorable moments with friends and families, making sure you have family portraits in their matching outfits for the holiday cards, cooking for 20 people plus. And I could go on and on and on, right? And you're like in such a nonstop movement through the holidays. And I will say, I know for myself, I'm starting to get a little bit better than this, but most years of, especially the younger years with my children, constantly biting off more than I could chew, constantly during the holidays, right? Sure, I can make all the handmade presents for the teachers. And yes, I can make sure to sew all the costumes. And okay, yeah, we're going to go to this party in the morning and this party at night because I want my kids to have the most amazing holiday season. And I have to jam in every possible memory. And so that is Jupiter opposing Mercury. And then we add into this all this input as well, right? So then we go back to thinking about all of this fast incoming information, just like that Sagittarius 1 decan, the 8 of Wands card, right? All of this fast incoming communication, emails, texts, deliveries, right? We're going to have Amazon boxes all the time, downloads, all this stuff. So how does this become overwhelming, right? And how, just like you said, how do you carve out that little bit of time to breathe, to ground? So let's pull this back to the new moon and the intention setting, because I think I feel just talking about this like I'm in this energy and I kind of want to move out of it. I'm like, oh my goodness, let's wait till November, please. But Spirit's recommendation for new moon intention setting is just plant one seed. Just one thing. This is not a time to have a handful of seeds and scatter the seeds all around to see which ones grow, because all you're doing is planting your overwhelm. And then a whole bunch of sprouts come up, and then you're overwhelmed at which ones you have to clear and which ones you keep. So one seed. And how are we going to know what to plant? We've got to get still. We've got to ground. We've got to create time. We've got to not be doing this in the middle of standing in line to see Santa, right? We need to ground, breathe, and think, what is that one thing that I want to plant and focus on? And lean into your spiritual practices. I mean, we're like a broken record, but here it is. Lean into your spiritual practices, meditation, breath work. Grab a moment to sit still, breathe, and listen. Plant your seed of intention. The tornado is waiting for you. You can get back out into the hustle and bustle, but you don't have to let it sweep you away.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
That seems to be our theme in all these podcasts. That's a lot.
Right? And as we continue on with these moon podcasts, I am hopeful that it's a lot will change.
Yeah. I mean, I can really see how these energies are moving us forward. I think, one of the things that's so interesting at this particular time of year, right? Thanksgiving has passed at this point, and we've got other holidays coming up and the new year. But it's for me, partially because I'm a Capricorn, I always feel like it's a more reflective time of year because it's my new year beginning, but also it is literally the new year beginning. And so it's really interesting to think about as New Year's resolutions are coming up and things of that nature, like just plant one seed. And what immediately struck me when you said that, I got flashed to a point in my life where I was so wanting to create different things in my life and for my future that I planted all the seeds. And I remember fast forward 6 months later, I had healed nothing because I had tried to heal everything. Nothing got done. And that's the energy that this feels like. Like we're really being called to focus on that one thing that we want to bring healing to, awareness to, that we want to create, whatever that seed is that we want to plant, but also not with that fear of like, but I got to get all of this stuff done because that's the energy anyway, right? So I really feel that juxtaposition, but that's what they flash me to. Like when we try to heal everything, we actually heal nothing.
Mhm. Yeah,
So if that's incentive to just plant one seed, let that be your incentive.
yeah.
Speaking from experience.
Well, and I even think, we paring down your holiday schedule is going to be a benefit at this time, right? It's always busy no matter what, but choosing what to do well as opposed of, quality over quantity may really serve you during this frenetic energy and, picking what things really matter. So let's talk about a great area to set intentions. So you have a Sagittarius house in your chart. And so we're just going to talk about this moon is showing up in that house. This is a great area for you to set intentions around. Of course, you don't have to always set intentions just based on this one house, but you may find if you reflect back to Sagittarius season that this is a time of the year where you start thinking about this particular area of your life anyways. Like you were saying, as a Capricorn, you start reflecting because it's kind of like the start to your new year, just a month later, right? So all right, so we're going to start with Sagittarius, and I'm just going to go through these very quickly. These are the areas of your chart that might be a great place to set up a new intention. So for Sagittarius, it's all about you, your body, how you show up in your world, your identity. For Capricorn, this is about the monkey mind. It's about healing subconscious patterns, self-undoing. Maybe you're planning to go on a retreat. This is about planting that seed. For Aquarius, you're going to look at your social networks, groups, friendships. Is there a seed that you want to plant in that area of your life? For Pisces, this is where you need to dream big about your career. When you really get still, what is it that you want to experience in your career or your public reputation area of your life? For Aries, we're looking at planting a seed around broadening your horizons. So maybe you're setting intentions around a new course of study, travel plans, or an expanded spiritual practices. For Taurus, what is happening in your life in regards to resources from others? So this is a great time to clean this area up. Have you been thinking about starting a 401k, starting to get better understanding about your financial standing? It's intentions around understanding your long-term wealth. For Gemini, it's a reevaluation of your one-on-one relationships. What do you want this area of your life to look like? Leo, where can you bring more joy into your life? Kind of simple as that. For Virgo, it's a fresh start at home. So what seed do you want to nurture in the area of home and family? For Libra, it's all about your local environment. What is the one thing that you would like to see grow? So for Libra, are you a writer or a podcaster? Do some sort of communication project that you're ready to pull out of the dream realm? To pull out of the dream realm and plant that seed in the earth and bring it to manifestation. And then for Scorpio, this is when you get serious about your money. So your birthday month is over. It's time to refocus on your cash flow and plant seeds around what you really value or new income earning projects. So there we go. Short and sweet.
Very short and sweet. All right.
It's
So
that same energy of that
quick.
fast moving,
Yeah.
right? That's how we're doing it this month. We're fast.
But I also feel the focus, right? The just one thing. And so I think the laser focus on the particular area really helps us to get clear about what that one thing might be. So I love that.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just going to wrap it up with some reminders. The theme is input overload, breathe, breathe, breathe. Or whatever other thing you do to ground and relax, come into center, and not get swept by the Wizard of Oz tornado that's going on around you. At the same time, it's about don't check out. Don't get so overloaded that you check out, because Mars is giving you the energy to get stuff done. So don't put off till tomorrow what you can do today. Just get it done, check it off your list, and move on, because otherwise that Saturn square is not going to give you the supportive energy and motivation to get things done. We got to do it and move on. So that is the energy of the new moon in Sagittarius, and I wish us all well during this busy holiday season.
Yes. Thank you for all of that. And we will look forward to chatting with you all again next month. If you are looking to book a session with Catherine Ann, you can find all of her information in the show notes, as always. And we will look forward to speaking with you again. Look forward to speaking with you again soon. Bye for now.